Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar this morning.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. Maybe in a true international spirit and also the holiday spirit. You see, I'm in green, so I have the official color of the holiday. Maybe everyone can send us a greeting in your country's language while we wait for the others to join us. Maybe we can start also.
Yes, we'll give it a few seconds. You can write in the chat and just test if we see your messages. Okay, Shiraz, can you see mine?
Yes, totally.
Okay, so for all of you that are joining for the first time this morning, well, it's morning in Paris, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Andile, the marketing manager at Part2, and I'm joined by Shiraz, our CMO. So to just run you over the agenda for the next 30 minutes together, we're going to focus on 4 key pillars. We'll look at research during the peak season time, as well as the channels that businesses should use to improve their digital strategy. And then we will look at success stories from some of our clients and how they go about boosting sales and driving more web-to-store visits during the peak season. And then finally, we'll look at the after sale. This is the journey of the customer post-sales. So just to run you through some 3 main topics of how users search. We have the most common one, which is direct brands, and then the most common one is indirect, brands and direct search. So we'll start with direct search. Typically, when a person is looking for a brand, for example, but they also know the place that they're looking for, this is called direct search. Direct search is in this example that we've put here is Leroy Merlin in Greece. So they would check for this brand as well as the city that they're looking for and the area. So the listing presents itself. And then we look at brands, which is when you know the brand that you're looking for, but you're not particularly sure of the location. So typically here we look at Leroy Merlin, but in Athens. Finally, 50% of searches are indirect searches. So if a user is looking for home DIY store, but they also don't know, they have the need, but they don't know the store that they're looking for. And this becomes the indirect search, which will show the results of the different offerings online. Now, when we know that let's look at the search popularity of European users during this peak season. I think this is very interesting for all of you to see the importance of this prosperous period and to see how the brand and product searches work. We conducted a quick trend analysis. In this case, we chose Blokker, one of our clients, a chain store in the Netherlands. And we also looked at Nespresso as a global brand. We did the search over a span of about 5 years. Now, let me just let you know that any person can do this kind of search by using Google Trends. Google Trends is available for you, so I would invite you after this webinar is to have a look at your brand, maybe your competitor, and see how you fare. So when you observed over the 5 years, we see there's a consistency in both cases. The popularity of the online searches that are carried out during this peak season, the popularity peaks during this peak season. That is over the November period into December. And you can see that it completely outweighs the searches that are done over other parts of the year. Typically, just this time is a peak just before the Black Friday time and all the way through Christmas time. User search popularity during Black Friday and peak season increases for about 57% when we looked at both these brands. Then we also did a search and analysis across the product searches. So vacuum cleaner and AirPods. But I don't know about you, Shiraz, but I would rather have AirPods as a gift than a vacuum cleaner over this time.
I
But
agree.
right, but we see now that obviously people are quite keen to also still purchase some vacuums. And when we looked at the percentage increase over this time, you see again the search popularity peaking when we look at product searches. And over this time, at each time of the year, again, it is a peak over the Black Friday through to Christmas time. The same would apply in sectors such as electronics, fashion, beauty during Black Friday and Christmas season for the obvious reasons. We also decided to just highlight some two key factors. We relied on a Deloitte study for this. So 54% of purchase intention we are seen in the November period. This is to say that typically a user might already make use of buying more ahead of Black Friday, with a 48% increase over purchase intentions over this time. The second point that we wanted to just highlight today is that there's a 35% budget for in-store purchases. As you can imagine, after the COVID period, there's been a hesitancy for people to rather go to stores. But good news is there's now an increase from 28% in 2020 to a 35% of budget being spent in stores. So this is good news for all the people that are joined today for that have physical locations.
Yes, so now from what Antile just presented, we all understand the extreme importance of this period and how it's important to businesses and companies to have efficient and effective strategies to communicate about their promotion and thus increase sales. So the question now is how to do this, which channel to use to communicate on those promotions and like optimize sales. So we will see some like channels that we all know but are really important in this period, like marketing email, marketing SMS, social media. And we will also focus on the biggest organic search engine, which is of course Google. So let's start. Let's go into the details of these channels, and we will start with the email marketing. So even if email marketing like is always a little bit questions, but it remains a key channel for acquiring customers, building customers loyalty, generating sales, and it's one of the preferred contact tools for users. Indeed, 61% of people say they are happy to receive periodic promotional emails. So they are really like open to receive those kind of emails, and especially during the peak season. So to make the best use of this channel and particularly to increase recipient engagement, but also minimize unsubscribe rates, the important thing is to communicate relevant content. And to decide what is the relevant content, you must really know your persona, the profile of the customers you are aiming to. So one must, of course, avoid all generic emails like on the entire database. The database must be really segmented by group and lists of contacts that have homogeneous profiles, and you can divide them by preferences, gender, where they come from, the pages they visit on your website, the kind of content they download on your blog, and so on and so on. And once you do that, you will get those profiles, and you can like work on the type of content dedicated to what they like and to their specificities. And of course, always personalize your emails, since it converts much more than like just unpersonal and generic emails. And also, email marketing is one of the most incisive channel for closing a purchase. 60% of consumers said that they concluded a purchase thanks to an email received. In comparison, this rate is like 12% on social media. So it's really interesting, like, to focus on that. And also, as you can see on the slide, existing customers purchase 33% more than new ones. So this is really important, like, to have a specific strategy for your customers, and you can perhaps offer them discount codes or special promotions and so on. The second channel we're discussing here is text messaging, the SMS. It's although it's maybe considered as obsolete or so on, but it's really a really effective channel because it allows to have a really high open rate. You see, 98% of open rate. It's compared to 50% for mobile email. So it's really interesting. It's quick. Our habit to see our phone is just like automatic. We check our phone like 160 times a day, maybe more for me, I must admit. So it's really a channel that you need to think of. And certainly the marketing SMS must be like effective in a broader multi-channel digital strategy. For example, it can be an aid or right arm to email marketing and so on. And for these both channels, the idea is to really send short content, really concise and precise message, so that your user will pay attention. The third channel we wanted to discuss also is, of course, social media. We can definitely say that social media has changed the logic of communication, of corporate communication. It disrupted it, improved it. It's an incredible opportunity for businesses to reach wider groups and larger pools of customers. Of course, it's a really big topic. Each social network has its own particularities. Advertising on social media is really complex, but so we won't get into a lot of details because we really want to focus also on the organic part of the online strategy. But here are some interesting insights. So we know nowadays that the habit of consulting our social network is like ingrained in our day-to-day life. So just opening your Facebook app, Instagram app, Twitter, LinkedIn is a natural, spontaneous habit that you do even without thinking of it. From the user's point of view, these networks are perceived like communities and spaces in which to express one interest, to interact with others, to discover things, and also to entertain ourselves. And from a company point of view, it's like a commercial space in which to communicate with potential consumers. So how is this done? How do we communicate through those brand pages on social networks? So let's start with the fact that social network users are not looking for elaborate and complex content. They simply want to interact with brands. So what we increasingly see and witness today is that brands and companies are lowering their barriers, and they are dialoguing with users. So they're making themselves like more human, more close to people, and more accessible. So this is exactly what consumers need. And in terms of communication and content, the ratio 70-30% works. 70% of engaging, entertaining content, and 30% of promotional content. So it's important that your audience feels engaged rather than targeted. And having said that, you can have two different strategies. The first one is to communicate centrally. It means that the headquarters, for example, here in the screen, Decathlon UK just send a post on Facebook posts for all the network. So it's like really designed posts and so on. and they are done with like the mirroring on Facebook's post, which is a feature that you can use easily. And the second strategy you can have is posts by local person on your business, which is the example that you have in the middle, where you have like the shop manager taking a picture. It's more like authentic. It's less designed, so people really feel that there are a person like working there wanting to share something. It's really more authentic and can also lead more traffic in your shop. So you have those two strategies, centrally and locally. At part two, we really recommend to do both. So communicate information about the entire chain via central communication through mirroring, like we discussed here, and leave the local communications to the individual stores. And also, an interesting tip is to diversify your content. Like, you have a lot of options that you can use, mixing content, links, images, text, videos. For example, Instagram can allow you to do posts like images, or stories like following a live thing happening, or a reel, more funny things, and so on. So don't hesitate to diversify the content that you are doing, and also share users and consumers content, which will cost a lot less time to your teams. And after using all this kind of content, take advantage of the statistics given by social profiles to understand which content were the most viewed, there were most interaction, and so you can fine tune your global strategy. And now let's focus on the Google aspect. Andile, the floor is yours. I think you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Shiraz. Well, yes, it goes without saying that Google is the biggest booster for selling your products and communicating all your promotions. The numbers you see here make it the largest online search engine of all time. We see that when a user carries out a search, be it a brand or they're looking for a product, 65% of them will choose the store to go to among those shown in the local pack. That this means that the company are present in and have the most exposure, which allows them to receive more visits to the website, more clicks for itinerary, and more people will go to the store. Consequently, sales will increase. Ranking in the local pack is not that easy, though. We must have several requirements that are needed: a high number of reviews, a good rating of your listing, and so forth. But above all of this, we must respect the NAP consistency. NAP stands for name, address, phone. It means that the basic information such as your Google listing, your address, as well as the contact number is present and correct. I'm going to emphasize on that. Otherwise, this will worsen your ranking. Once you have all the correct information on your listings, you want to make sure that you make use of your Google features and to be easily found online. Now, on this slide, we look at two main features that are without a doubt to be used: the categories and attributes. These two aspects are simple but very essential. Categories allow you to appear in many search results as possible. This involves entering services offered on your shops. You can enter one main category and have about 9 secondary subcategories that you can make use of. We recommend that you use all of them, thus increasing your chances of being found online. The same logic applies for the attributes, where you should enter all the extras that you offer within your business. This, for example, is the Wi-Fi, the click and collect offerings, the parking facilities, wheelchair accessibility, and so forth. All this will allow you to stand out from your competition and move up in the search results organically. It goes without saying that correct and up-to-date information is the most important throughout the entire year, and you should not wait just for the peak season to update your information. But let's look at 3 additional services that you can make use of, especially during this peak season. So here we have Google Shopping. It's a service that is offered and can be especially useful for peak season for products. What you can do to appear in the search users' search results, it's important to highlight all the products that you have in stock by adding them one by one on Google Shopping. But why is it so important? If a user searches for an item on Google Maps, for example, this user will be able to see directly on the search results that which shops are available and have that particular product that they're looking for. And if a user searches for a particular shop, on the other hand, they'll be able to see the products offered in the shop directly on the Google listing and purchase them directly. But on the other hand, we also have inventory ads, which of course comes at a cost from Google. This inventory ads are specifically special ads that allow you to generate more drive to store actions by showing directly on the search results the shops that have the product and the internet user is looking for. And it will appear first in the results. But again, as we mentioned before, what we really want to look at today is the organic actions that you can take for promoting your products during the peak season. So Google Posts are the most popular and more recent feature that was added by Google. And this allows for temporary content to be used and appear directly in the search results. The posts allow internet users to receive information about businesses such as news, new products, events, but especially offers and promotions. There are companies that have always taken advantage of using Google Posts for Black Friday and Christmas time. Google Posts increase your visibility on your web pages. Through part 2, it is possible to publish Google Posts both on Google and Facebook, whether it be in bulk or uniquely. To put it bluntly, you can, from one single platform, publish your Google posts and your Facebook posts all in bulk with your brand pages. In reality, you can then also select specific shops. For example, you can make a post to publish and make it only available in the UK, for example, or run the same promotion that for specific stores. Here is an example of Leroy Merlin in the last year where they published, apologies. So here is an example for Leroy Merlin where they published promotions over the Christmas and Black Friday time. And we see the post interactions are transformed and how they increased during this period. But Shiraz will talk you more into detail on this slide. You're on mute, Shiraz.
You see, we do it both. So yeah, thank you, Angile. So what we did is took an ordinary period of the year and compared it to the end of the year, the peak season we are talking about. And Leroy Merlin posts were viewed like 3 times as much in that month, which is like a really significant increase. And the number of interactions, the number of clicks on these posts to discover the promotion in itself grew by 200 to 25%. So those figures are really showing the importance of Google Posts in the visibility during this period. And this impact occurs across entire sectors. For example, we focused on the electronic sectors among Part 2's customers. And all user actions on Google increased during this period, and not by a small amount, as you can see, in terms of web page visits, call to store. And we wanted to highlight the click on the itinerary. So we have an increase of 88% of direction requests. So this really shows that the willingness of users to make a trip to your store. So all the steps that we discussed, that Andile discussed before, are really worth following because at the end they will lead you to more revenues. Um, the last topic that we wanted to address is after sales, which is really equally important for businesses who want to strengthen their brand loyalty. The after sales, we will focus on two parts. The first one is the importance of working on your e-reputation by asking reviews, and the second aspect is uh, um, discussing and interacting with your customers via messages. So, first element, why is it important to request reviews from your customers? First of all, the evaluation of your brand on Google listings, but also Facebook and other platforms, has a direct impact on online ranking. So, in fact, the factor that has the greatest influence on Google search ranking is precisely the rating of the listing. So, the more positive reviews you have, the easier it will be to find you online. And not only the positive reviews, you also need to regularly have new reviews, new ratings, so that Google identifies you as a serious and dynamic business and will also put you in the first rankings. Um, and also, on top of that, as users nowadays, we give a lot of importance to what people write about a brand, about a service, about a shop. So, as you can see, 91%, so almost everyone, check reviews before going to a venue or a shop. And 87% of users considers a rating below 3 stars unacceptable. I must say for myself, even below 4 stars, I'm just having doubts about that shop. So
I
it's
agree
really
with you.
important. Sorry.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So this is really important to work on your e-reputation. So now the question is, how can we do to collect reviews and on a regular basis? So there are four ways, like her mentioned in the screen. So to go really fast, we have the email, but the inconvenient is that the opening rates are really low. We can also ask directly after the sale. We can ask directly customers to let a review. It's the less intrusive one, but the customer can like just forget when they just get out of the store. So there are two channels that we recommend at Partout. First one is the SMS, because also of the high opening rates that we discussed earlier, and also the QR code, which is the method preferred by people between 18 and 34 years old, which is direct, fast, and easier to do. So, in this regard, I have to say that Partout has created a special product called Review Booster, which allows stores to collect reviews from customers on the Google listings via SMS or QR code in an automatic way. So, of course, if you need any information about that, you can write to us on that matter.
Thank you, Shiraz. The second step of the post-sales process is to provide support via messaging. In our opinion, messaging is a real business opportunity not to be missed. Apart from the economic aspect, because phone calls are costing way more for companies than a Google chat or a Facebook Messenger, for example. But in addition to this, users also are much more likely to send a message rather than having to call a business. Specifically, is a statistic that we wanted to share is that 67% of users prefer to get in touch with companies rather than calling them. This is very special for millennials and Gen Z, as you can imagine. Messaging also allows for asynchronous response. On the one hand, the user doesn't have to stay long hours waiting on a phone call to get a response from a shop clerk, for example. And on the other hand, the store managers are able to respond when the store, for example, is less crowded, and instead of responding while serving other customers or not responding at all and risking further tarnish to your brand. So, with messaging, what are the benefits? We will have lower cost, and higher acquisition by being where your customers are looking for you, higher customer satisfaction, and the third pillar is, of course, higher conversion and higher revenues for your businesses. Technically speaking, in terms of management, let's say messages can be managed centrally, locally, or in an automated way. At part two, we recommend a mix. To manage, for example, questions about availability in a shop should be managed locally and possibly by the shop manager. More product-specific questions can be handled centrally as well. If you have a lot of shop and the number of messages you receive are probably too much to manage in the best way possible, it'll be easy to miss some of the messages, or again, like I've said, to not respond at all, which is a big risk for you. And that's exactly why Part 2 created Messages, a tool that can centralize all users' messages onto your platform across all the shops, whether it's on Google or on Facebook. Through one single platform, you can respond directly to your users and as well as customize your responses. For Part 2 customers, it's really, really easy to manage their messages that they receive. They're able to treat them and also identify the ones that are more urgent. And speaking of our customers, in this slide, we conducted a beta test with one of our clients, King Jouet. And this is a toy shop, a French toy shop that is a chain across France. So we tested the messages across some of the select shops, and we see some amazing results. The management in this case was at 100% locally. The employees in the shops were able to respond with guidelines and directives from the HQ. They set targets as a response rate. For example, the number of hours to respond had to be at 6 hours maximum. And we see that they were able to respond to 100% of their messages. And in terms of conversion, it was allocated to 65, which expressed strong willingness towards the purchase. 35% of them were allocated to practical information. And finally, we see that 10% was for support, which again speaks about the after sales journey. And as a result, King Jouet has become for King Jouet, messaging has become a real acquisition channel.
Thank you very much, Shandile. So this wraps up our presentation today. So if you would like to learn more about how to increase sales during this peak season and beyond, of course, we have prepared this checklist that you can read by simply clicking on the link that we will just send you now on the chat.
Here it is.
Are you doing it? Perfect. Thank you, Andile. And maybe now it's time for us to open the floor to questions, if you have any. You can write them directly on the chat.
Don't be shy for those of you that are here with us. We'll give it 1 minute. Just make sure to take the sheet as well that's available in the chat, because then it's got several tips and links that you can directly access.
Okay. So maybe we can move forward. So for those who don't know us, Partout is one of Europe's leading companies in local SEO. We have more than 400 employees and have many customers in more than 150 countries. So you can visit our webpage where you can find details of all products we offer to companies to help them increase their visibility and get closer to their clients. And of course, if you need any advice on your online presence, more specific tips on how to improve your drive to store strategy, or simply ask a question about this webinar or anything else, you can, of course, write to us at the following emails that are displayed here. Thank you, Andile.
Thank you, Shiraz, and thank you to everyone who joined us. We wish you an amazing day further.
Amazing day to all. See you
Cheers.
soon. Bye.
Bye.